guys are having a wonderful day. And today I have a story that I want to share with you that can be summed up in one word: chilling. The story I'm about to tell you is absolutely the most chilling 911 call ever. And here's the good news: it's good news. Volusia County, Florida 911 officers received a phone call. The phone call went like this: 911, what is the address of your emergency? I'd like to order a cheese pizza. A woman was being SA'd or graped, assaulted, if you will, by an illegal immigrant in a field in Volusia County, in a place called Pearson, I believe they said. She wasn't able to give the address. She wasn't able to give the name of her or her assailant. She was only able to tell the 911 officer that she'd like to order a cheese pizza. Apparently this happened at 4 a.m. in the morning, and again, Volusia County is in Florida. The person that was basically trying to take advantage of her and hurt her, if you will, his name was Luis Hernandez Manejo, a 27-year-old here illegally, who just the day before had applied for asylum. In case you guys are wondering, this is why so many people get in arms about the border. For every one or two bad guys, there's probably hundreds of really good people that come through that border. But here's the problem I have. If you or I went to any other country in the world and just walked in and tried to live there, the country would probably kick us out. Might not happen on day one, but they wouldn't allow us in there. Every country has these rules. So why should we be the country that just ignores these rules? Because we have them too. I've never heard of anything so crazy as us just letting people in. And then for people, when it comes to an election, to shut down that very border and act like they're doing something special for us just seems like a real slap in the face. When they got close by to these Pearson fields, they could hear music blaring. Why would music be blaring? Could it be blaring so that if somebody were screaming, "Help me, get this person off of me," is there a chance that maybe that would be drowned out by this loud music? Anyway, the cops finally hear this music because they were able to triangulate her cell phone's location. As they get close, they see a man on top of this woman, and all of a sudden she's saying, "Thank you, Jesus, please help me. He's trying to assault me. Please help me. Thank you, Jesus." And it was one of the most chilling things I've ever heard. How many people out there scream those words on a deaf audience that never hears them? This is happening all around the country. It's happening with locals here as well as with people that are here illegally. But the point is this: all those people that are here illegally, it really kind of shows what side you're on. Nobody should be here illegally. If you're okay with that, there's something that I just have to say is really kind of cruel about the way you're thinking, because you're not thinking it through. Pearson apparently has acres of ferneries. Apparently before this happened, they met for dinner and drinks. Apparently sometime after a couple drinks, the man excused himself and ended up doing a line of cocaine. The woman, or the victim in this situation, said that after he did the line of cocaine, he became this just irresistible force that was trying to, obviously have sex with her. What sucks about the way things have set up with social media is you can't even really discuss these things without fear of YouTube taking off your video. But considering YouTube and my fans don't really like me anymore, I don't think anyone's gonna see this. So if anything, I wanna keep a time capsule so one day I can look back and see what we were going through as a people. And this is one of those situations where, once again, I think we're going to have a split in our country. I think that there's still going to be half the people that want to vote for what we've been going through these last 4 years. When I first created this channel, I wanted it to be solely about walking and venting about things like weight loss and how expensive life is. But I find myself, as we get closer and closer to this election, venting about things that we shouldn't be dealing with. We shouldn't be dealing with crime from people that aren't even Americans. You know, it's one thing when you have to deal with American crime. That's a big enough pain in the butt. But when all of a sudden you have to add this extra element, it just seems really wrong. And here's the thing that sucks. It doesn't matter if Trump is president from the standpoint of illegals are still going to come over. You know, people are still going to come into this country illegally until we as a people, everybody, red, blue, independent, until we all say as a people, I don't want any more people going into office unless they're on the same page. We want that border closed. And you know what? If that means you have to build a wall, then let's build a wall. Let's not call it foolish in one hand and then start building it with the other and act like it was our idea the whole time. We should be building a wall. We should want our country to be safe. Good people have a way of doing things the right way. What we need to do is we need to vet them and make the process faster. That would be the option. Instead, we do these things where we have people down in Texas, the local border guard, right? And they have to fight with the federal border people that make the laws. Man, the one thing that this thing has taught us is that states like California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas that have always had to deal with these border issues, now those things are being shared with Colorado and Illinois and New York. Good morning. And it's funny how right when those things are shared, all of a sudden people in Chicago and Colorado and New York don't like it. I'm here to tell you, no matter what state you live in, you would not like this. And I know as a people, when we hear these stories, it outrages all of us. But man, I'm telling you, there is a party out there that is just consistently on the side of doing the wrong thing. And I wish that it could be different. I wish I could say, hey, we all do these decisions, we all vote for these people. But when you're voting for the side that wants this to continue, that wants it to be 4 more years of misery under the cloak of change, how the heck is somebody that's already been in charge for 4 years, and during that 4 years, all of these problems have gotten worse, and somehow the people that are voting for her just do it blindly? It's really crazy. And you know that Russian thing that made it where we didn't want to vote for Trump X amount of years ago? That was all a farce. It was all a lie developed by Hillary and her minions. You know that Richard Steele dossier that was basically fabricated? That was the big reason why Trump almost lost against Hillary, and probably a huge reason why he did lose to Joe. And by the way, I still don't know who our president is because I don't think it's Joe, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I read some messages. These messages really hit home because it really kind of describes why there is a divide. Anybody that is for this, it's really hard for people that are against this to see where they're coming from. At Madeline TV says, thank you to all law enforcement officers. Double thanks to the officer who comforted her. I'm assuming she saw the part of the video afterwards where the lady was in tears thanking the police and thanking Jesus. You know, when you're in these situations, you're so alone, and for this woman to have the wherewithal to remain calm and to call 911, and then for that 911 officer not to just hang up. The only sad thing that people in the comment section were saying is that now that you've shared this story, it's going to have a situation where in the future, the bad guys aren't going to let people call 911. They're going to do what they have to do, and they're going to take that phone away. So my question to you is, now that we know that this technique of calling 911 to order a cheese pizza is probably not going to be effective in the future, God, we got to get these folks out of here. We got to get these folks out of here. So Madeline TV, I agree with you. Thank goodness for the police. The next time somebody tells you we need to defund the police is evil, just know that their words are evil. Never defund the police. We should have police at every place in the country where it's needed. All these CVS and Walgreens that get robbed, how could you get robbed if you had a policeman at every door? And for people to tell you, Jesse, we don't have the resources for that. Bullshit. Look at what happened in Miami when they thought there was an alien at that mall. All of a sudden you have 300 cop cars with 500 cops surrounding that mall. If you're telling me we can't take some of those resources and put them at every Walgreens and at every Walmart, I'm just going to say you're full of crap. That's what we need to do. We need to make a situation where bad people know whenever you do it, you're going to get caught. And what's the point of having CCTV and all these cameras if every time we catch a bad guy doing his 5th or 6th crime, some judge lets them out with a bullshit bond? We need to create a situation where we 2020 judges decisions, where we Monday morning quarterback and we say, hey, this guy's got a rap sheet a mile long, this guy's here illegally, this guy does cruel, heinous crimes, and if you let them out for anything less than the maximum bond, then you are really doing a disservice to the people, not only of the city and community that you're in, but in the whole country. Part of the problem is that when judges see people with multiple offenses, good morning, instead of doing something about it, they just compound the problem by turning away and doing nothing about it. And then here's the sad thing. Those same judges get voted right back in. They stay there for life and they do nothing but bad decision after bad decision. Now, in this case, I don't know if this guy had a rap sheet a mile long, but just him being here illegally and doing this, apparently every time this guy does a line of coke, and people that are like this tend to do it all the time, sounds to me like this is one of his hobbies that he likes doing. If you're doing hardcore drugs and it creates an animal in you, you belong in jail. Long term, none of this short term shit. When they talk about prison reform, it's always about finding lighter sentences. Who the hell came up with that idea? They should be dragged through the streets. Prison reform should be, hey, we're going to give you one chance. After that one chance to change yourself, you're going to start going to jail for longer, not shorter terms. And I'm asking you, the people, why can't we pull up judges and say, hey, this judge let out 85 people early. Out of those 85, 78 went ahead and did the same crime again. If every one of us had a football team and we were the coach, we would be scrutinized for our wins and losses. Yet for some reason, when it comes to parole boards and judges, nobody gives a shit that they make bad decisions left and right. And I'm sorry, but every time you hear about a repeat felon, that means somebody along the way made a bad decision. Well, Jesse, that's not true. If somebody does their time, we need to get rid of that mentality. We need to change it for what it is. Criminals, like tigers and zebras, never change their stripes. That's what you have with a criminal. Once you're a criminal, odds are you're going to keep doing criminal behavior. If you know that knowledge as a human race, how can you allow these animals to be out with us on the street? That's why I walk, guys. You want to be in the best health possible. You want to be able to make a plan. I'd like to think that somewhere along the line, this woman came up with a plan. I'm going to tell this guy I'm ordering a pizza and I'm going to call 911. And the way to pull it off is to act as calm as I can. And you know as well as I do, after making that call, it probably took police probably 15 or 20 minutes to find her. Every one of those minutes must have been excruciating and cruel. So what I'm asking people to do is put yourself in that lady's place. If that happened to you, you would never, ever, from that point on, want somebody here illegally. So here's my question to you. Does it really take you going through a similar situation to realize how wrong our border crisis is? We need to shut that border down. We need to find everyone that's here illegally, and we need to let them know you are not to come back. And if you come back again, that should be considered a second or third offense, and you should get a lot of jail time. And we need to tell countries in South America that are sending people here that we look at that as an aggression against America. If we're helping these countries, which by the way, if you look up aid to foreign countries, it seems like America sends millions, if not billions of dollars every year to foreign countries for God knows why. I mean, I don't know about you, I'm tired of taxes and prices going up. How about we as a people say, no more money going out to these foreign countries? If you have to buy their love, it's not worth it. I'd rather have America and Canada and England versus the world than have all these countries that just take money from us and then send their bad people our way. And if you say, Jesse, that's not exactly how it works, well, that's exactly how it seems, doesn't it? I don't want people's bad guys. I want people's free thinkers that are educated, that come here with a plan. I went to the ASU job fair, and we had a lot of students from India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and all these different students. These kids were the best. They spoke perfect English. They had straight A's. They all had plans on, becoming engineers or becoming, tech people. Some of them wanted to become teachers because they had some math and science in their transcripts. And it's just like, that's what America should be about. It should be about finding the best and brightest around the world and bringing those people over, not bringing criminals. Remember, criminals do nothing but commit crimes. Why would you ever want one of them in your country, let alone thousands? And we've all seen the commercials lately. They might be exaggerated, but either way, it sounds like at any given point in this country, we have close to 500,000 heinous criminals that are just out and about in public. That's not acceptable. That's 500,000 bombs ready to go off as far as I'm concerned. And I don't mean that in a terrorist way. I mean, they are literally ticking time bombs ready to hurt innocent victims. This has to stop. I tell my mom every day because my mom is Democrat. My daughter, my son, Democrat. My grandmother, my uncles, everybody I've ever loved in this world was Democrat. I'm the only conservative guy. I don't care if you want to vote Democrat. That's your right, okay? But I'm telling you, don't be like a Lions or a Cubs fan where you're with them just because you were born a Lions or Cubs fan. You can change your way. When I was in high school, I was a Democrat. I thought Bill Clinton was the coolest because of the Monica Lewinsky thing. As you get older, as you get married, as you start to raise a family, you start to realize, man, there ain't nothing cool about that guy. There was nothing cool about President Clinton. And then with President Obama and a lot of these people like President Biden, man, I don't see anything positive that came out of the last 4 years. Do you? Tell me one thing positive that's happened to us over the last 4 years. To me, it sounds like a lot of tears and a lot of misery. At Miss CC says, thank you, Jesus, for sending those officers in time. When she screamed, I felt that deeply. If you guys watch the video, it was really crazy. Her screams were chilling. She's literally saying, can you get this guy off of me? He's trying to me. And then the cops finally start kind of running towards that direction. Oh my God, guys, I feel so glad and happy that the cops were able to get there in time. I have no idea how she postponed this situation. These are things that make my skin crawl. These are things that irritate you. At Elizabeth3323 says, are they going to turn around and let him go? Maybe buy him a house now? Could you imagine how irritating it would be if you were trying to get a business loan or a loan for your home and you were denied, and then you find out that these illegal immigrants come in and they get plenty of food stamps and they get plenty of cash and plenty of loans, and pretty soon they're owning the business that you were hoping to own, and they're being successful in a country that's not their own? Could you imagine how frustrating that would be if you were a small entrepreneur and you were denied loans? That's a slap in the face. That's your country telling you that they're for other people other than you. And that is just wrong. Every single one of us has paying taxes for all of our lives, and for the country to kind of turn its back on the people and be pro-criminal and pro-illegal immigration. Man, tell me this is going to be the day that you guys wake up and make a change with who you vote for. But here's the difference. If you guys don't change who you vote for, I'm still not going to hold it against people. Again, you have a right to vote for who you want to. But doesn't it bother you that some TV stations don't report this stuff? You guys might have heard the other day that heinous crimes are way down. They revised those FBI numbers, guys. They ended up being a lot higher than what they were saying, but I bet you guys never heard it because certain news outlets don't share those numbers. And when you find out that you live in a world where the news is hiding stuff from certain people and only pushing out one side of the argument, you start to realize the truth. This country that we're in is not the great country that we grew up in. We need a change. We need to go back to the way we used to think about things in this country. We need to bring back common sense. They say nowadays that common sense is anything but common. We have all gotten to the point where the only time we want to be realistic and have common sense is when we're the victims. If you need to be victimized to see the error of your ways, that is just awful. Think about what empathy means. It means putting yourself in other people's places. If you were in this woman's place, who would you vote for going forward? You wouldn't vote for who you're thinking about voting for, I promise you. You would want judges that were hard on crime. You would want criminals to be considered for things like the death penalty. And that's just the way it would be. Can you imagine if this guy does get out? I'm not saying they're going to buy him a house. I don't think that's going to happen. But if this guy does get out in 4 or 5 years, you know what he's going to do? He's going to find another field. He's going to find another boombox where he can blare out music. You know, when you hear that music is blaring, it almost makes you wonder, was this premeditated? And if it was premeditated, how many times has this guy done this to other women? And he looks mean as hell, by the way. If you saw his picture, he looks mean as hell. At Jerry Colon 9252 says, another illegal immigrant. God help us and thank you, police. You know, I have a feeling this young lady, God bless her, I hope she's okay and doing well. I have a feeling she's going to be traumatized for the rest of her life. I have a feeling she's going to be first in line to vote, and I have a feeling she's going to be disappointed every time she hears about something like this happening to another person. If you find out that this person ends up voting for these type of judges and these type of leaders, I'm going to be very disappointed. This is one of those things where I think as a people we need to say, hey, I'm Democrat, but this year I'm voting Republican. Because you got to let people know that this is not going to stand. And if you're an independent and you find a way to still vote blue, then you're not independent, you're just blue. And I'm telling you, I know for a fact that a lot of my venters are Democrat. I don't think there's anything wrong with you as a person, but I think there's something wrong with being loyal to a party that is just not very pro-American. They're not pro-victim. Whose side are you on? Are you on the good guy side or the bad guy side? I think there comes a point where you have to look at things and say, man, I think I'm on the bad guy's team. And that's where you need to stand up. And just like a football player that changes from one team to another, get off that team. Anyway, have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.